Good morning, everyone. Thank you for checking in and watching this video. If you like Resonant Essentials and our talks, please like, subscribe, and share. Today, we're going to be working on Chapter 8 of the book, Mastering Metaphysics, The Essential Foundations and Principles. And the title of this is Precepts. Precepts are really vibrations established by masters for helping us normal folks grow to higher consciousness. So I'm going to read from the book, the first part of the chapter, the first little bit, so that it explains it a whole lot better. Precepts are general rules intended to raise the consciousness of humankind by setting goals to be attained by humanity. At the beginning of every age, sages, both discarnate, those in spirit, and incarnate, those currently living a life on earth, who are wise and judicious, gather together to set the precepts for the forthcoming age. In this Aquarian age, 13 sages met in 1977. The names of the sages, both spirit and human, are unknown. This is probably to protect those who happen to be incarnated on Earth at the time that they all met. It could also be the identities are not revealed because we tend to either deify those who are thought to be ascended masters or crucify them. As we become more fully ensconced in the Aquarian age, the precepts for this age will be made known. You will see the shift in consciousness in humankind as we work toward those precepts. The precepts are formulated according to how far mankind has progressed in the preceding age. These precepts give us guidelines for our destiny paths. Think of the precepts as a goal to meet in order to bring forth higher truths. When these truths are formulated, our spirit teachers, guides, work diligently to help their mortal charges work toward them. The sages do not give the precepts to the masses. It is our free will combined with our destiny plan that help us to attain higher knowledge and to grow spiritually to meet those precepts. Precepts set the tone for the age. Past ages are reviewed and the energy and spiritual awakening of the collective consciousness is taken. The precepts can be looked at as either benchmarks to mark our progression collectively or as goals to be attained individually. There would be no point in setting precepts if they aren't attainable by the masses. Now, someone who read this book asked me, why did I bring in the concept of precepts? They didn't fully understand. And it's kind of like being on a playing field. Every game has its goal, and the goal is to win the game. Or why would you play a game? We're on this earth with a goal in mind. The goal is to progress to the highest level of consciousness that can be attained on this earth plane. I know a lot of people are wrapped up in dimensional thought process of I'm at 5D, I'm at 12D, I'm at 25D, whatever it is. Instead of looking at it that way, think of looking at it as reaching Christ consciousness. And what Christ consciousness is having the keys of knowledge, having all our spiritual gifts awakened, having our chakras moving in the positive flow, not holding negative thought. And yes, occasionally we're going to have negative thought, but in the Christ consciousness, you start to understand why that negative energy is there. And instead of struggling against that tide, you start flowing with it. So our goal to get off this earth plane of existence and not having to be stuck incarnating on the incarnation wheel repeatedly is to raise our consciousness. And these sages, these wise individuals, either in spirit or in human form right now, or back in 77, met and looked at the energy of the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness is every one of us holding a thought. And in those thoughts, we have power. We have the power to go back in time and keep with control and fear, or we have all progressed to the consciousness that we have peace, light, love, filling our path and our destiny and healing wounds that have caused us to live in fear and discontent. So they look at the collective consciousness and what we're putting into that energy. And they say, okay, well, this is what's attainable. So by setting the precepts or the vibration for those goals, they are saying this is what's possible. And I think one of the precepts for this age is unconditional love. Unconditional love, once attained, as we talked last week, once attained, moves us light years into the future. How can you understand somebody, or how do you know somebody has unconditional love? There's no conflict in their conversation. There's no conflict in their path. I've had my heart open. I told you last week I had my heart opened a few times in the past, and it has opened and closed. And I'm working to attain that level of awareness now. And I shouldn't say working. I am open to attaining unconditional love for myself and others. It's not really work, it's healing. It's about healing and bringing forth that level of wisdom for ourselves. Jesus was the Christ consciousness of the Piscean age. And in that Christ consciousness, he was noted as the healing Christ. Now, as he attained his goals and brought forth these wisdom words of healing, there were people who sought to suppress that. That's why when he had his crown chakras open, the halo, which we think represents angels, is actually a glow from the head chakra that talks of higher consciousness, that connection with source. And for us to attain that, we have to keep into our mind and our body a higher vibration. So they sought to suppress that from him, to disconnect that. So they put the crown of thorns on his head to create injury, because when you injure the skull, when you injure that, some of the 1,000 petals of light, which is the crown chakra, go dimmer. So they sought to stop his power of his healing and his consciousness thought and from invading our lives. Well, they succeeded in the fact that many people started putting him above, not understanding that what he was telling us was this too you shall do. They started putting him as separate and a way that, well, you'll never make it. So you have to try to be as good and get God's grace. You can try, but you're not going to succeed, because he was the Son of God. We're all a part of God. Okay, so we're all sons and daughters of God, if you will. I prefer to think of it as we are the collective consciousness of God. By putting our thoughts in there, he understands where we're at, or I shouldn't even say he, because I'm not a fan of the gender identity, but because it's the way most people understand this. So Source understands that we have conflicts, that we have situations that arise that we have put in place, that we have co-created with each other to put in place so that we learn from them. So we start to heal some of the brokenness of where ego has taken hold of us. And so one of the precepts for this age is to come into unconditional love. I also think that you can't dismiss the conflict of ego. So, one of the precepts is probably to resolve ego, which would really benefit all of us if we operated not from ego, but from heart center, from love, from unconditional power and wisdom. These are the things that we work to attain, and these are the things that we work to go. Does it feel good when my dog gets all excited to see me? Yes, but that also means that I was separated from my dog and he had to miss me enough to be excited to see me, which means that we work that way with each other. We get excited to see each other, we get excited to work with each other because we are connected and we forget that that connection keeps us in touch. So we shouldn't be excited to see each other. We should just be at peace when we're together because we're all pulled, our energy is all pulled into one love. These are things that we work toward in our consciousness, that we're the co creators of our destiny, that we're the co creators of our path, and that we're each filled with love. So, our goal is actually to help each other attain a higher level of consciousness so that we bring about healing for each other and we bring about um, beauty and kindness and passion and compassion for those that aren't on the same frequency as us. And it becomes difficult because so many people with their ego put themselves in the path of greatness. And we wonder, is that correct? Am I not in on my path? I'm not speaking like they are. They're masters. And we should never put somebody above ourselves or think ourselves above somebody else in the aspect of trying to understand that all of us are light. We are all equal. We are all at different vibration in that light, but we are all light. So there's not one of us that is greater than or more advanced than the other's light. It's just who has healed a different aspect of our light. Each one of us has little dark patches in our light, and that's what the precept is about, is healing those little dark patches so that we come into full recognition of the magnificent beings that we are, the wonderful, incredible light that each one of us is. So when we look at each other, we shouldn't worry about what I call it the someone done me wrong song. It's not about doing you wrong, it's about doing you right. People are pointing out where you're broken, and we should be thankful for that. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, doesn't mean that you have to keep taking that. The minute you realize your brokenness, the need to heal that aspect, you can separate from that person and move on, and you can bring that healing in, and you won't have to have another person take that person's place to show you that you're still broken, because you will have healed it. And that's the precepts. It's about bringing forth the healing for ourselves and each other. It's about unconditional love. It's about ego and healing the patches of darkness. So it's important that we look at our precepts and what's in the collective consciousness, because this helps us recognize where we're working toward together as a collective unit to accomplish in order to create a better place. Now remember, why is it important? If you just want to go from the egoic portion of this, it's important for us to heal, because who wants to come back to this again? Who wants to do this over again? Who wants to go through this level of conflict again? Certainly not me. I don't want to have to go back through this process. And so it's, for me, very important to have those precepts in front of me as I work toward higher consciousness. I hope that helps. I hope you have a wonderful day. My heart to all of yours. Much love. and I will see you next week. We will be talking about, let me remember here, human aspects. Okay. That's always a great conversation because so much of us, with our human aspects, we forget that these aspects are important to our path and our progression. Love all of you. Have a great day. Bye for now.